S. Back on track. Call the meeting to order. Motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Smith, could you read that motion, please?
Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth adopt the agenda for February 24th, 2026 council meeting as presented.
Thank you. Any comment, errors, omissions? Those in favor? Thank you. Next is the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional home of various Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Is there anyone who wishes to declare a pecuniary interest? Any of the items on the agenda? Seeing none. We have a motion for adoption of the minutes. Councillor Waterfield.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth adopt the minutes of the January 27th, 2026 regular council meeting.
Thank you. Those in favor? That's carried unanimously. We have no delegations or presentations scheduled tonight. The next is the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to request the removal of an item prior to the vote on the agenda? Yes, Councillor McCray.
Yes, Your Worship. I'd like to talk about Perth Fire Dogs roof structure over outdoor sports court. That's one. Memorandum number 5, Memorandum of Understanding, Perth Firefighters Association, Perth Fire Dogs, Perth and District Community Foundation grant application. Number 10, Direction on Advancing a Regional Recreational Facility. Number 11, Grant Application, Ontario Trillium Foundation. And number 12, Town Hall Reconfiguration. And number 16, the Drinking Water Financial Plan.
So you wish those items pulled because you have a concern? Is it simply to ask questions?
To ask questions and actually in terms of the Perth Fire Department, just to give them recognition for their particular involvement.
So can you give me the number of the first one? The number on in the agenda of the first one you want to ask questions
Okay, so the first one has to do with the Perth Fire Dogs roof structure over outdoor sports court. 1881 Rogers Road. And as well, I'd like to talk about the Memorandum of Understanding, Perth Firefighters Association, Perth Fire Dogs, Perth and District Community Foundation grant application. May I go ahead?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
You're not.
So
we're not questioning anything. You're just.
I just want to make a comment in regards to that.
In that case,
okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. As I sit with our fire department in regards to these, I just wanted to say a couple of things. First and foremost, we're talking about a volunteer fire department, and they go above and beyond the call of duty. I have family involved with the Ottawa Professional Firefighters Association. They make so much more money. I mean, our volunteers firefighters are, they're paid so little in respect to the work that they do. Every time they go out, they put their life on the line. And my point being is that here they go beyond the call of duty, and they're doing a couple of things. First of all, they're putting a fundraising effort for a capital expenditure for an outdoor sports court. The location on 1881 Rogers Road. That's the first thing. The second thing being that they've applied for a $24,500 for the youth sports programs that they support in the municipality of Perth. And I can contest, I can't speak to the arena, but I can speak to the pool. Having gone to the pool in the last 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, there are over 100 and some people, families participating in those swims. It's phenomenal. And these are families that cannot afford to pay for a aquafit class. They can't afford to pay for swimming lessons. They can't afford to pay for hockey, but they can go for a free swim. And what it does is provide meaningful health and lifestyle choices to these families and meaningful memories to these families because of our incredible fire department. So I just wanted to pull that out and point that out to people in the community that our firefighters are more than just firefighters. They are community builders and they represent incredible integrity and character within our community. So I just had to say that.
If I could just interject on that point, I met with the firefighters not too long after the election, and I asked them, why do you do this? And you could have a hobby or whatever. And they said, no, this is the best way that I know of to serve my community. They really are incredible. Okay, proceed.
So I just wanted to bring that up. Do you want me to go ahead with the others or is
That
there
would be
any?
lovely.
Okay. So then I want to go down to number 10, advancing a regional recreational facility. Everybody knows it sits around the table, my background in recreation and community services. I have a diploma in recreational facility management, recreation leadership with specialty in aquatic administration and volunteer administration. I have nothing but support for a regional recreational facility. But I do have concerns because there's an upset for the facility assessment of $40,000. And my concern is, and I just need to make sure that I have the support of the staff on this. We're going to pay out $40,000 and we have 3 surrounding municipalities that are going to be a part of this. And if even one of them decides that they're not going to be a part of that, that then puts the ante up to $53,000 or $54,000 for this facility assessment. And my question is, where is this money going to come from? So we're saying that our upset is $40,000 for the town of Perth for the study. And if one of those people, one of those municipalities bow out, then what's the contingency plan?
Did you wish to speak to that?
Sure. Thank you through the chair. What we have proposed is up to $40,000 and we're utilizing an existing budget line for our facilities assessments. So we had quite a large budget line item that's already been allocated for that. We're not going to use all those costs for the engineering reports. So we're able to utilize that $40,000 from there. We do have confirmation from 2 of the 3 other municipalities that they're willing to put forward the same amount of money. And we're doing an exploratory conversation with the 3rd municipality next week. So we'll have more clarity on there. But council has only approved up to $40,000. So if anything comes back for extra ask, we're going to have to come back to you anyway for that. So we'll make sure that we're accountable to council for any extra expenditures.
Okay, that was my concern because I ran, previous to running for this municipality, I lived in Lanark Highlands and I ran for that municipality. And I know that monies are extremely tight for the Lanark Highlands. So I was just concerned that, we didn't plan for the $53,000, $54,000. We'd only planned for 40. So I just wanted to make sure that it was adamant that we weren't going to go ahead with this unless we had.
So
Okay.
just to make sure I'm interpreting this correctly, if, say, Lanark Highlands chooses not to participate in the study, then the rest of us would still pay $40,000.
Through the chair, I think we would have to finalize that through those exploratory conversations with our municipal partners. And then what we would do is make a decision. We'd have to tender it first. So we don't have that cost at this point in terms of what the whole feasibility study would cost and what we want to actually accomplish with that feasibility study. So I think we first need to have that conversation, but it's really nice to have support from council that we can feel confident to move forward with a $40,000 commitment and demonstrate our commitment as a collaborative effort with our municipal partners to do that. So I think it's almost like we're putting the money cart before the horse, but we just want to make sure we have confidence that we can move forward with that.
The cost could well be less than 120,000.
We
Or
can cross
not.
our fingers. Yeah.
Dream along. Okay, Councilor McCray.
Okay, Kathy, just stay where you're sitting there because the next question's for you, and that has to do with the Ontario Trillium Foundation capital grant for the indoor pool boiler replacement. So what exactly does it cost to replace a boiler?
So through the chair, we have a couple of quotes and they're about $25,000 each. We're in the midst of getting a finalized quote from a contractor who specializes in pool operations for some preventative maintenance as well. So we said that we can apply for up to $200,000, which is the maximum amount that you can apply for with the Ontario Trillium Foundation. The boilers itself, it only cost about $50,000 to $55,000. But if there's other items that we're about to get this report back on, we want to also incorporate that as well. So it just gives us the allowance to be able to apply for up to $200,000.
Okay, so in our capital, for the pool boiler, we have $25,000.
Yes.
And then we have a contingency fund in our capital, is it capital or our?
Yep.
For $250,000 contingency fund.
Yes.
Okay, so we're covered by that. My question is, let's say we get I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. Let's say we get the $200,000 and we need $50,000 for the replacement of 2 boilers, correct? Two boilers. What are we going to do with the additional funds? What's the plan for that?
So we're just in the midst of waiting on that assessment back from Ottawa Pool Works. They just went and did a whole review for us in terms of looking at our 50-year-old sand filters and what that could cost. So we also got an engineering report in terms of what other upgrades would have to be made for preventative maintenance of the actual building itself. So we're going to take that information that we're getting next week, and we might incorporate that in for that if we want to go up to $200,000 for the pool operations. So we just don't know what that looks like, but it's tied to any kind of mechanical or structural component to the pool that would help maintain its lifespan.
So my question through you, Chair, is at one time we had applied for a grant so that we could increase the benches, the height of the benches for seniors. There was the floor, there was a number of different items. Would we be able to get those things done under that if we were able to get that grant?
Through the chair, we could probably update the flooring if we wanted to. So that could be something that we could look into. We're really at this stage just looking at, I talked one-on-one with the Ontario Trillium Foundation advisor, and they said, give us items that's really going to help maintain the lifespan, and that will make your application more competitive. So we need boilers in order to offer that. So we want to really make sure that it's competitive. So we can upgrade the change rooms, but I think that if we demonstrate that there is an absolute need to replace the boilers and to, let's say, replace the sand filters, God forbid, then that's a stronger case for us because it keeps our doors open.
Okay, thank you.
That's it?
No, there was one last, and that's the drinking water. That was the drinking water financial plan. And I just feel that this got glossed over. And I don't know how going forward, we ensure responsibly as a council, because sometimes we have committee of the whole meetings where there is not as much on the agenda. And then sometimes we get, I feel, overwhelmed with different agenda items, like so many agenda items. For example, the drinking water rate study had 45 pages just on the Watson and Association report. And I just want to know I'm really concerned about that because drinking water is very, very important to our municipality going forward. And that we have a financial plan intact to support our drinking water and our sewer rate study. And I just wanted to know the implications that this would have on our budget moving forward so that we're prepared for this. And I just felt that we didn't get the discussion that we needed to have on that. So I'm not sure how we move forward with this, Your Worship.
Okay.
I guess Grant's not here tonight, so. I know it was just for information, but as I drilled down into it, I just thought there was more there than you can appreciate.
So through the chair, I can talk about the budget implications of that study. So I think what we talked about during the meeting was that wasn't set in stone that had to be the rate. It was saying based on the information they have and where we're going as a municipality, that they were thinking that percentage rate increased each year. I don't remember what it was right now, but I think it was 7 or 8%, is what's necessary to make sure that our reserves are online. So I think in a budget perspective, what we done last year, we talked about that during the summer in regards to what we look like at a municipality if we kept on going, where we would be reserve wise. And that's why during the budget, we had implemented a 6% increase, right? To make sure that we continue where we are and our reserves are at a steady rate and that we're okay for the next couple of years. So I think as we go through the budget each year, that will be reassessed, right? Like this summer, I'll come in and I'll say, okay, where are we now with our asset management plan? What do our reserves look like? Where do we need to go? And that will kind of be reassessed. But I think what that report was really doing was highlighting again that yes, there is a water increase that needs to be done. We can't just say, no, we can't increase our water rates, because then we will be in an issue a few years from now, or even in the next year. So I think that's really what was highlighted in that study. Does that kind of answer your question?
To a certain degree. I'm going to meet with Grant in regards to it. I just need a lot more information. I just want to make sure that as a council going forward that, our drinking water is well taken care of, and that it's not going to become an impediment, a real negative thing as we go forward with taxation, because people are just, people can't afford it. So-
Perhaps if there's still the questions in your mind, you can set up an appointment with Nova or with Grant.
I'll talk to Grant about it. Thank you,
Okay,
Mayor.
thank you.
I appreciate your time.
All right, so, yes, Jim. Councillor Bolt.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a question from one of the previous questions that were answered by Kathy, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a Kathy answer. I think it's probably more of a CAO question. So if I could, through you, I'd like to ask something that suddenly struck me when we were talking about this, contributing up to $40,000 each township for this study. Once again, and I've brought this up numerous times, insofar as saying, well, let's say all 4 townships are prepared to spend up to $160,000. So then we put it out for an RFP. We've told the people who are bidding that we're prepared to pay up to $160,000. This drives me nuts. What I would rather do, and the question, I guess, is why couldn't we have, if I could, Michael, all 4 townships sat down together and agreed on, yes, we have to have a feasibility study. Let's put out an RFP to see who bids and see what they suggest it might cost. And then once we have that number, come back to council and say, you know what, we put out an RFP, they're going to do it for $100,000. Everybody's going to contribute $25,000. Like we're telling people what we're prepared to pay all the time. And I often wonder, I wonder why all the bids are coming in just under that number. Are we not shooting ourselves in the foot here?
Good point.
Through the chair, I hear your point. But I guess on the other hand, I think that's just something that comes with municipal government and transparent decision making. Because if staff came to council and said we want to put out an RFP for a facility study, the first question someone's going to ask is, well, how much is that going to cost? And we're not saying yes until you tell us what we're going to have to pay for it.
Well, I get that, but the same thing is it's when you're buying a car, you don't come out and say, well, I'm prepared to pay up to $50,000 for that new car to your salesman. And, you know, he right away knows whether he's going to be able to sell it to you or not. So like what I'm saying is I still don't get it. Like we could still put out an RFP, unless I'm wrong, and say the 4 townships would like someone out there to bid and to tell us what if you were to do this for us, what would it cost us? I understand that we can't always do that. It depends on, but here's a prime example of where it's saying, well, you know what, we're prepared to pay up to 100. Like I find paying consulting fees to that magnitude just horrendous. And maybe I'm out of touch, but I think we're basically blowing up a balloon with $160,000 and saying which one of you want to grab it. I just don't think it's right.
Well, doesn't the amount suggested indicate to those who might bid on it the complexity of the work that they're bidding on?
Yeah, so through the chair, in any RFP like this, there'll be a detailed scope of work that here's what we want you to look at. And then when people submit bids or proposals for that, we just for which one I just reviewed with Grant. But there's a whole detailed chart in there that this person's going to spend this many hours doing this task, like all the way through the whole project, how many hours and the rate they're charging for each of those hours. So we can look at that proposal and say, okay, well, we don't want this, or that seems unreasonable, or that's crazy that you're going to spend 200 hours working on the title page. So there's ways that we can evaluate that as it goes through to make sure that it makes sense.
Well, through the chair, it was just a point I wanted to raise. I mean, we've already said that we think that the new facility for our works garage is going to be $4 million, and it's the same sort of kind of thing. Again, maybe I'm living in the past, but I find it mind-boggling that we would say we're prepared to pay X before anybody even bids on it. That's the only point I'm trying to make, and
Yeah,
I'll
that's a good point.
finish with that.
I like this process, even though it's something that doesn't usually occur in the process of approving the consent agenda. If people have questions and want to have answers to those questions, they should be able to bring them forward. So going back to the usual format, does anyone wish to request the removal of an item prior to the vote on the consent agenda? We've not had items that are inviting discussion or debate. Anyone else? Those in favor? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, that she was moved by Councillor Bird. I'm sorry, I intruded on your territory.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McRae, that the following motions listed in the consent agenda be passed and numbered accordingly.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Another question?
Just a couple of comments. In the past, council had a special meeting to deal with water rates. And I think this term of council, we kind of got away from it, but I do know in the past, we had a special session where the report was brought forward and council had a chance to discuss it. And Michael, I'm not really sure what was before your time. I think we sort of got away from that, but I remember on an annual basis, it came up on a certain time and we did have discussions. So maybe that's something we could do in the future. Second point, sitting on council, I've told everybody who asks me, Town of Perth can't afford a new rink and pool by themselves. We don't have the tax space to build it. But I've been to Toronto or Ottawa at least 4 times talking to ministers, telling them that we need a new rink and pool. And I was with Kathy one time, and the minister or the minister's aide, can't remember, Kathy, you might help me, told us point blank, if you don't have partners, you're not getting anything from us. Mm-hmm. And the future is you either demonstrate that you're working together, you have plans together, and you can't wait to the last minute, because if you do, you're not going to get any money. So I've always been frustrated sitting on council because we've always had long drawn out cost sharing agreement discussions, and I've never been part of them, but I've heard from people who've sat on the committees. And I have to applaud Kathy and Michael. I mean, they're not telling us a lot, but I know what you guys are doing. Maybe I shouldn't say not telling us a lot. It's not as well known in the public. But it seems we're finally moving forward. And if you don't have a copy of the Eastern Engineering report from 10 years ago, I have it at home. I actually saw it at my desk there a couple of days ago. I was kind of laughing to myself about it. I think the rink was scheduled to close in 2032, and so was the pool between like 2030 and 2035. And I know we made a motion, it was passed here at council a few years ago, about let's maintain our facilities as much as we can. But, you know, and I also sit here as council and hear people on council criticizing past councils for decisions we made. And I don't think council understands why they did the decisions why we took the decisions we made in the past. But I think we have to move forward on this. And I don't think we can get caught up in the money about it. We have to demonstrate that we have a plan to replace our pool and our arena in the future. And how we ever achieve that, I don't know. I've heard of some other municipalities where they actually did join together and they did pool their money to build the facility. You hear this when you go to the conferences, when you talk to people. So this to me is the first step. And we did the major recreation study a few years ago, and this is the next step of it. And we have to have our ducks in a row within the next 5 or 6 years to sort of say, if there's money out there or there's plans out there, or if we go to a private partnership, we have to be ready. So while it's $40,000 might seem like a lot of money, it's really not a lot of money in the multi-million-dollar budgets that we have here. But if we don't do it now, the next councilors are going to be talking about us, that we didn't do stuff the way, and they're going to say, you guys we put our heads in the sand and didn't do stuff. So I fully support what the staff are doing because it's the first positive sign I've seen in years with the townships that we're finally moving forward on a plan. And hopefully we will be successful in the next 10 years because as much as I want to keep putting the Band-Aids on the pool and the arena, you just can't keep doing that. So we have to, and everybody asks me in town, when is the next pool and arena coming? And we always talk about, you can't attract businesses to Perth, you can't attract physicians, you can't attract other corporations to come to our town if there isn't these facilities for them. So anyway.
Thanks for outlining the appropriate process. We can't go to the government and just ask for money because we're wishing and hoping. There's got to be a concrete plan. So another question.
Mayor Brown, as I stated at the committee of the whole meeting a couple of weeks ago, I fully support this motion. I spoke on it at the time. I believe the $40,000 or up to $40,000 is not an expense. I think it's an investment in our future, not only as a town, but as a region. And I fully support the deputy mayor's comments.
Thank you. Councillor Bolt.
I just want to make it abundantly clear through the chair that I, in no way, I'm saying I don't support. I concur with everything that's been stated. I think it's long overdue, and I think it's money well spent. It was the procedure that I was questioning, and I was using this particular project as an example. I want to make sure that people understand that.
Thank you. I think we should have the vote now. We're sort of veering off topic. So those in favor of the motion that Councillor, I'm sorry. I will have to sit up taller so I can see.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate the Deputy Mayor's comments there. He's absolutely correct. He didn't get a chance to speak to this at Cal, but just as a reminder to us all, we are all supportive of this. This is why it was in the consent agenda. There's no one talking about pulling it back or not going ahead with it. And I appreciate Councillor Bolt. That's not what you said at all or was suggesting.
Okay. Good. Yes, Councillor McRae.
And to you, Chair, I mean, the recreation facility summary that was put together by Kathy McNally speaks volumes as to the need for such a facility. I just want to share something. I go to the lanes. I went to the lane swims. They're full. 6:30 a.m. in the morning. I thought, okay, well, it's full. I'll go to the 7:30 one. Well, it's full too. Well, I'll go to the noon hour one. Well, it's full too. The aqua fitness classes are full, unbelievably full. People that are going to a shallow water aqua fitness class, anybody that can swim well is pushed down to the deep end of the pool. And as I said, the public swims and these swims that are offered through our fire department, well over 100 people. The Monday swim that they have had over 140 people. So that just gives you some idea of the number of people that are using our pool. I can't speak to the arena, but I can certainly speak to our pool. It is unbelievable, the number of people that are using it.
Okay, well, let's proceed to the vote. Those in favor of the motion to pass the items in the consent agenda. Thank you. So we're on over to bylaws number 11. Deputy Mayor, would you read that motion, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Waterfield. Be resolved, the Council of the Town of Perth has read the following bylaws the first, second, and third time short, passed and signed by the Mayor and Clerk. Bylaw number 5248, Fire Protection Grant Year 2 Transfer Payment Agreement. Bylaw number 5249, Memorandum of Understanding, Perth Firefighters Association, Perth Fire Dogs, Perth and District Community Foundation. Grant application, youth sports programs 2025 to 2026. Bylaw number 5250, Joint Lanark County 2026 Election Compliance Audit Committee Terms of Reference. Bylaw number 5251, Drinking Water Financial Plan 2026-2035. Bylaw number 5252, Award of Request for Proposals number ES 2026-02, Transportation Master Plan, BT Engineering Incorporated.
Thank you. Any question or discussion? Those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, going on to reports. Before I report on Lanark County Council, I just wanted to mention Councillor McCray has talked about some of the successes of various things that are happening in town. The last weekend we had Frosted Fire. I was only at Crystal Palace, but it was a tremendous turnout, and the multicultural food fair. We were able to count the number of people that came in, and it was over 400. So I just wanted to comment that not only were these successful events, but I know we have debates in the past as to whether is the Crystal Palace work worth it. It requires repairs, and should we extend the plumbing so that we can have washrooms that are open in the winter. I'm really glad that we did those things, because not only is Crystal Palace a tremendous facility, but when you have that number of people, you really need accessible washrooms. Okay, going to Lanark County Council. One of the items that involved a lot of discussion, there was a delegation that proposed a motion to not only oppose prejudice, but also recognizing that people of the Jewish faith are presently at least far more prone to prejudicial actions and words and so on than are other groups. So we had some debate on it, and it was sent back to staff to come up with something more councillors would be comfortable with, and that will be coming not this county council, but the next one. Deputy Mayor, did you have anything you want to talk about? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a question for you and the Deputy Mayor. When is the last time the county did an official plan?
I was just finishing off. It's an official plan for the whole county. Yeah, go ahead.
Joanne may know this, it's called the Sustainable Communities Official Plan. That's the county's plan, but we had a special meeting last Wednesday where we did 3 new official plan updates, discussion. One was the aggregate, one was housing, and one was, I forget the third one, but those are coming externally to the county for a whole official plan, but I'm not sure when the date of the county did their official plan last time.
The last official plan date was 2012. Yeah.
Through you, Chair, and to the Deputy Mayor. The reason I asked that question is we have the provincial official plan, and then we have the county official plan, and then we have the municipal official plan. And we can't do our job as a municipality without the updated version of the of the county official plan. They all work in concert of one another. And that's why I bring that question up. Because in order for us to do our job, the county needs to do their job.
So I did circulate sort of my comments that I sent at a staff level to the county to this group. I will be bringing it to committee of the whole on March 10th, but yes, effectively, from my understanding and discussions with the county planner, generally, official plans are updated every 5 years and then are comprehensive every 10 years. The last time they did a comprehensive update was 2012. It's now 2026. So a while past when a new one should be occurring. The county has made great strides in updating those 3 areas to bring them in conformity with the Provincial Policy Statement 2024, but there are areas that are not in compliance with that. And so my question to the county was simply, when are you going to do that? Because it's long overdue. Glad that we've made some progress, but it's difficult for the rest of the municipalities to be in compliance with both documents when they in fact do not align. So that's in a nutshell, what my what my letter to county council is about. Obviously, in March 10th, I will present that in more detail. And we'll be looking for your support to support my staff comments so that the county would have comments from both staff and from council.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
So we did have a special meeting last week, as I said, and the 3 official plan updates from housing, I think it was population growth aggregates and everything else. The county, there was no questions. There was a lot of members of the public sitting there. Gary, Councillor Waterfield was there. All of us sitting on county council were kind of like, the meeting lasted 10 minutes. And none of us, I'll speak for myself, I had no idea what I was going in that room for. I thought there was going to be a complete explanation about where we were at the time and where the county is, but they were basically there to talk about the 3 official plans and to get public input. There was only one member of the public who spoke, and I'm not sure if he was a past director of Algonquin College here. Just this name sort of rang a bell with me. Was he? The county has spent a lot of time on growth projections during this term, and we've had multiple hour presentations from Watson and Company about future projections for growth in Lanark County, and we've talked about it here. He disagrees with it, and his comment was that everybody thinks people are moving to Lanark County because they retire here and they like the small towns and stuff. His feeling is once the baby boomers are gone, people aren't moving to Lanark County anymore. And his comment was because the younger generation would rather stay where they are with all the facilities and their lifestyles where they are. They're probably not willing to move back to the smaller areas. So it wasn't really, Gary, you made a comment, it wasn't really a challenge to the county, but it was more of a whole different perspective than what we've been getting, that Carleton Place is booming, Mississippi Mills is booming. We're almost far enough out of the distance from Ottawa that Perth will always have land to expand on or growth capacity or whatever. But his position was kind of eye-opening to me from a person, that's his business. So Gary, maybe you could comment further, but.
I know the gentleman that spoke. I wasn't entirely surprised with his comments. Certainly it was thought-provoking and was against the current thinking, which I think was healthy. I'm glad I attended the meeting. I was interested and very curious. I was very surprised as to the brevity of the meeting. I was anticipating that there would be a lot more of the public in attendance, and I was anticipating there would be a lot more people presenting, and that was not the case. So why that was, I cannot tell.
Councillor McRae.
Through you, Chair. So if the county official plan was done in 2012, that's 14 years ago. A lot can change in 14 years. And it's really, really important as a municipality that we have all of the demographics, all of the most updated information as we move forward as a municipal government. So I'm hoping that our deputy mayor and mayor will speak on our behalf to ensure that we push county council to move forward on this.
I don't remember, was there any reason given why it had been so long since the official plan was removed?
No, but I'll tell you, the most complicated job in the world for a county councillor is talking about planning. I mean, Joanne, you tell us stuff here, it takes me a long time to figure it out, and I got to call Joanna really what we're talking about. County council is so complicated, and the last planner they had, she left to go work for Kavanaugh. I said to her when I first got elected onto county council, I have no idea what you're talking about. They stand up there and they go on about what planners talk about. And, I mean, the public doesn't understand how super technical planning really is. But anyway, I said to her, I have no idea where we are in the process of Ed McPherson has walked into county council and says, I want to build a subdivision in Perth. How long is it going to take me before I can put a shovel in the ground? And you would think that a couple of years, maybe, I really don't know, or a year and a half. She said, it's almost too complicated to explain to you as a layperson how long this takes. So I said to her, can you actually build us a chart that shows me how many steps there is in the entire planning process? And she did. And the other night, I think it was this economic meeting, someone said we're at step 7 or something out of 16 steps. And someone made the comment, can we get rid of a lot more steps? But you can't. And I mean, I think if a member of the public, because I do get complaints about how slow it is to build in Perth. And I said to you, I can share with you what I know in the bi-weekly report we get. It's not the town holding up development. It's the complication, it's the complexity of trying to develop some, and a lot of developers maybe not always really knowing what they need to do, or maybe not really wanting to do what they need to do. But so I was expecting a large debate about aggregates is what I was thinking was going to happen last week. And there was crickets. So I thought, well, maybe a lot of people have written in already. I know we knew your comments have been in there. So I really don't know. But anyway, planning's difficult to deal with.
If I could just sort of let you know, I've sent them to Michael to review, but I actually have just done up charts for every development process.
Oh my God.
Which I've been intending to do a long time ago, but eventually I'm hoping to have them on the website and circulated to you folks. So they are completed. And I will say, with the exception of the subdivision, because I sat down to try to explain that process, which I know, in a chart form, and I went, so like I'm going to have to take a little bit longer, but the rest of the processes are drawn out there with Michael just to, double check if it's clear to, to him, and before I send to you guys or put them on the website. But that is there, and that should help with maybe some of the questions you might get. And then again, I know I hear from all of you about public complaining with the length of time it takes, but people aren't directly calling me and asking me questions. So I can't explain things if people don't call me, or if I do public education sessions and people don't come. So I'm looking for guidance as to how else I can educate, because I do think it's important, but I don't seem to get uptake. So.
Well, my final comment is, so for 8 years, I've sat in planning at the county. I still don't have a handle on it. So that's how technical and how complicated planning is. And I'm sorry the public doesn't come and maybe listen to you when you do a presentation and explain to them. Because if the public actually understood this stuff, they wouldn't complain. But I don't think the public could ever understand this stuff. Because after 8 years, I still don't get it. And the two things I'm going to walk away from county council is planning and affordable housing. That's what my 8 years has been. We don't talk about anything else really. We do a lot of other work, but those are the two dominant things. And I'll never get a handle on planning how technically and how hard it is to do. It's just way over my head. And
Even getting a simple severance is much longer than it should be. Okay, Ann, did you have another?
No, I kind of opened a can of worms here. I didn't mean to do that. But I get it. I get what you're saying, Ed, in regards to planning. I mean, I met with Joanna today. I'm your representative on the BIA and the Chamber of Commerce. And of course, they're always wanting to know what's happening in terms of development. And we went through that complete list of developments that are happening here in Perth, because tomorrow I have to give reports to the BIA and also to the Chamber of Commerce. And I'm a little bit like you, Ed. You know, what can you tell them and what can't you tell them? Because some of the information is in closed session, and if you share that, it could be detrimental to the municipality. And that's why I met with Joanna today in regards to that. It's very, very hard to understand it all. And they're especially biting at the bullet in terms of Perthmore and Cavan. Those are the two hot topics with the business community here in Perth. So that's all I have to say in regards to that.
Thank you. So going on, so you said all you wanted to say about county, okay. The hospital board had a meeting this morning. Always been interested in healthcare, and it's really interesting sitting on the hospital board because you find out so much information. One of the things I found out was that the statistics for the number of women who have cesarean sections as opposed to a regular birth is 65 for regular birth and 35 for cesarean, which was a little surprising to me. And we did have some discussion about, I'm sure you all realize that the hospital has quite a deficit. It has been underfunded for years, and the deficit only increases. Keep talking about trying to get more money, but it's complicated by the fact that there's a proposed new hospital, and so how do you decide what to develop in the old hospital, or would that be better to wait till the new hospital? So, okay, climate change advisory panel. I was not at the last meeting because I had another commitment. I've resigned from that panel and will be taking my place. Barry, would you like to say anything about the meeting?
Yeah, this thankfully it was the first climate change meeting in about 6 months. And when we got in there, we discovered there were 3 new committee members. And Kirsten seemed to have a pretty good handle on things. We are going to have a special meeting this Friday in the library to start putting a plan together. Well, Kirsten's already done a pretty good job of laying it out. Now it's going to be the committee that puts the steps together. So it went pretty well. And if I could go right on to Heritage Perth, meeting was canceled due to lack of items on the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor McCrae.
Through you, Mayor, I understand that I think in order for me to be a member of that committee, it has to go through the striking committee. Am I correct?
It did.
And
It has.
it already has?
It just hasn't been reported on yet until Jim has a chance to
Okay, so my question is, when do I start going to the meetings?
Well, assuming that council approves it tonight, then at the next meeting.
So Friday, the Friday meeting that Barry is,
I'm not aware of, through the chair, I'm not aware of any Friday meeting.
I just got an email today about it, so I don't even know if everybody's agreed to it, whether there's a quorum or not. I said that I would go to it.
Well, that's news to anybody here.
okay,
Kirsten must have done it on her own and arranged for the room in the library.
okay, I'm just asking, include me in the loop.
Yeah, you'll find out soon.
Once Councillor Bolt has a chance to report on the striking committee, you'll be in the loop.
Okay, that's good.
Councillor or Deputy Mayor McPherson. I'm sorry, sir.
Through Mayor Brown to Councillor Smith, just out of curiosity, why hasn't the Climate Change Advisory Panel not met for 6 months? I'm just curious.
Well, the chair of the committee resigned because he and his family sold their house and bought a house outside of Perth. I think that was a big cause. There was kind of a drop at that point, and nobody took the ball over. I think Kirsten probably was the only one. We had two other, I think, people drop out at about the same time. So just month after month, the meetings were canceled.
Through the chair, I can speak to that. So council discussed last fall the plan for the Climate Change Committee, and as Barry said, the previous chair resigned, as did several other members. So the committee took that time to regroup, and there was some behind the scenes projects being worked on. So council approved the hiatus so that they could do that and then kick off again now with the new members.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Deputy Mayor.
So we had our monthly OPP Detachment Board meeting, and as part of our monthly educational, we had a speaker this week, Aaron Lee, who is the director of Interval House. Normally, we give our speakers 10 to 15, 20 minutes. We gave her an hour. She gave us from when she started 34 years ago to today, and how far Interval House and the relationship with the OPP and Smith Falls Police has grown. I don't know how many people know Erin. She'll tell you right to your face what she thinks of you.
Yeah.
And she gave us some clear history of the challenges working with policing in the past and what it is today. She certainly was praiseful of Derek Needham, who was the inspector, the detachment chief here years ago, and Karuna, and also Curly, Inspector Todris that we have now. The calls for internet partner violence are higher last year than they've been before. So you have to look at it two ways. One is the education they're sending out to the community was, if you see it, call on it. So while the police are getting more calls for it, they're happy to get more calls for it instead of the situation getting worse than it needs to be. So most of us sat there thinking, man, we don't want to see the call volume going up, but they were actually happy that the call volume is going up because it means people are calling to get help, which was good. She talked about all the programs that have been introduced in Lanark County in the last 10 or 15 years. There's nowhere else in the province that has the programs we have. Like I know, just because I've been doing this for 8 years on the board. Did you know that in Lanark County, the OPP shares their calls and statistics with Interval House, tells them where the problem areas are, tells them we got a phone call last night from Ed McPherson needing help. The City of Ottawa doesn't have that relationship with their police department and their crisis workers. A lot of municipalities don't. Everybody calls on Aaron to go across the province to try and get their programs up and running. It's amazing to me that these programs aren't already there. We have a victim advocate program that we get grants for, and she was there and she gave a presentation about what she does for the people. She's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If Interval House gets the call, she goes, or if the OPP gets the call, she goes. I mean, that's one person that's dedicated to helping people when they need it. Aaron just came back recently from training new OPP officers. Sorry, I shouldn't say new OPP officers. a new program with the OBP. There's going to be a dedicated intimate partner violence inspector or investigator with each detachment now in the province. I think that's what's going to happen. So she was given the training on what they need to know. So you know her. I don't know how many of you, if you get to know her, she is probably the most powerful speaker I've ever met in my life. And she takes no prisoners. And it's amazing what Lanark County has done. And we all know that Lanark County was the first regional government as well as local governments that declared intimate partner violence an epidemic in Ontario. And now there's 100 and some have done it. But it's a testament to her working with our local OBP officers and detachment leaders and Stephanie Gray, because she singled out Stephanie Gray once again, that if you don't know Stephanie Gray, you don't know the person who's responsible for all the positive things that policing has done here in the last 20 years, basically. She was at one time the police service board chair for Perth. Everybody talks about Stephanie. So we gave her another round of applause, all these programs. Every day she's looking for more grants. And they all used to flow through the Perth Police Service Board. There's going to be a little bit of change on that, how that funding works, but we're hoping none of the programs go away, but they're always, granted for a certain time period, then we have to redo it. But anyway, following that up, sorry, Dave, I don't know what the title is. Derek McClanahan is the, what do you call, not a sergeant, but staff sergeant. So he came in and he did the statistics for the OPP, and he talked about how they're now being trained. There's a lot of young officers in the area and how they're all being trained and encouraged how to do these calls and stuff. And it's quite eye-opening. And we have several new members on the board, which is why I did this year. So every month we have somebody new come in that's related to policing, either the police officers themselves or some members of the public. But the takeaway when Derek was done speaking and Aaron was done speaking, the mouths were wide open. People just couldn't believe this stuff is going on in Lanark County, but how far advanced Lanark County is compared to most places in the province. So it's hats off to these visionary people that, again, that are way ahead of me on all this kind of stuff that are making Lanark County a pretty safe place to live.
Do you want to talk a little bit about people traditionally, if there's a family problem, teenager gets violent, blah, 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 call the police, or they take the kid to the emergency, but now there's 2 officers with the OPP that assess the problem and figure out which agency would be best to treat that problem?
Well, they do that, but they also have the crisis workers with them, and not always, because we don't have enough funding, but they either have the mental health mental health workers, or the crisis workers with the dedicated OPP officers as well. That if they know of a call that's required, they certainly send that team when they're available. Problem is, there's not a lot of funding to do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, but that's been a real boon to helping out the individuals who need the help as well. So it's quite a progressive thing. And I talked to Inspector Todris and Stephanie, and I said, it'd be great if you guys could come here for 15 minutes some night and just tell us, so you can see who I'm talking about and hear what they're really doing. They've made a lot of changes in the OPP in the last few years that seem to be a really positive thing, and it's going across the province.
Councillor McRae.
Yeah, through you, Chair, to the Deputy Mayor, I just, Stephanie Gray, as you all read, the Lanark County Situational Table Annual Report, like Lanark County, and like the rest of rural Ontario, has a lot of mental health challenges. We're facing a lot of mental health challenges. And the whole key to it, and this is where Aaron comes into place, is having the knowledge to know who to send the individuals to, which agency to connect them to. And the first time I became involved with Aaron was through Big Brothers Big Sisters. And this individual is phenomenal. She seems to have tentacles out to every kind of organization you can imagine in the community. Can't say enough incredible things about her. But she also is why we're in the position we're in with Lanark County, to have these advanced programs for mental health and those types of things. So we're very lucky to have people like Stephanie Gray with the Lanark County OPP Detachment Board Support Coordinator, as well as Aaron Lee with in the position that she holds.
I was reading the other day about how many people are in jail or in prison in the US. It's huge.
Yes.
But I'm sure if they had programs like this, it would be far, far fewer. Because people would be getting appropriate treatment instead of just thrown in the Fusco. Going on. Striking Committee, Councillor Bolt, we finally have a report.
Thank you, Your Worship. So striking committee met yesterday to appoint a person to the Climate Change Committee. As everybody knows, Mayor Brown has stepped away from that committee, and this is to replace her. So we had our meeting, and I would like to read the following motion. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Ed McPherson. As recommended by the striking committee, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth appoint the following council member to the Climate Change Advisory Panel, and that would be Isabel Ann McCray, until the end of the current council term.
Thank you. Those in favor of that motion?
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Carried unanimously. Going on, Lanark County Climate Action Working Group.
We haven't had a meeting, Your Worship. That'll be coming up, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to sit on the committee, the Climate Change Advisory Panel, is so that there is information flowing back and forth from our municipality to the county climate change action work group.
There was an employee in that department, Elizabeth Bolt, who gave a report to county council, but as to the committee itself, no, it hasn't met for a while. You're still on BIA.
Okay, so we have a meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30, and we're going to be meeting as a working group to drill down into our strategic plan, of which will later come forward to our council. There will be discussions in regards to shop, stamp and win. And we want to moving forward, end this before Christmas. And this will go before the promotional committee, of which I sit on. There was discussion about tracking volunteer hours because there's a lot of volunteers involved with the BIA. So that could be a part of our AGM and also information we would share with our council. Discussion on an annual report to the council. You probably remember that John McKinty, when he was the chair, he gave an annual presentation. That hasn't happened because we've had a number of chairs. So moving forward, we want to make sure that happens. Kathy McNally gave clarification on the Tay Basin Design Competition to the BIA. David Murray has resigned as the coordinator of the Crystal Palace for the Stewart Park Festival because the Stewart Park Festival falls under the BIA. It's my understanding that they have are in the midst of finding a replacement. There was discussion on counterfeit currency and AI policy and the implications that it has on Stewart Park Festival. And also we're looking at a vehicle use policy because often members of the BIA travel to and from different events. One of those being the big event for International Women's Year. And so we need to look at vehicle use policy. Kathy McNally presented the 4 performance objectives for our BIA coordinator. There was discussion over the BIA gift certificates. They will no longer be sold at Town Hall. During the Christmas season, they will be at the Visitors Information Center because it's more available to our community. We are redesigning our BIA website, and that's about it for the BIA.
Thank you. Now you can segue into chamber.
Okay, so I only have three things about the chamber. The first is that we had applied for a $10,000 grant for Festival of Maples, and on the first bid, we didn't get it. But thanks to Brian Perkins, he went after it again, and we were able to secure $10,000 from the Perth and District Foundation, and we got that $10,000 for Festival of Maples, and we needed that because this is the 50th year of that. So we wanted to have, some additional programs and that kind of thing. Just a reminder to everyone that sits around the table that the AGM of the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce is Wednesday, March the 25th at 11:30 to 1:30 at the Perth Parkside Inn and Spa. And we're all invited. And I know that Michael has already circulated information, and the team have circulated information in regards to that, and hope that we get a table, secured for our council. And also that there's one of the things that the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce does is they do educational sessions. They used to be called After 5. And they do a number of these as they feel needed. Well, with the election coming up, the advocacy group has decided to have a roundtable February the 26th, that's this Thursday, entitled Perth Vision. And it's from 5 to 7 at the Curling Club. And so if there's anyone that's sitting around here this evening that would like to go to that, just reach out to the Perth and District Chamber of Commerce and get signed up for it. And I know the individuals that are chairing it, they're very, very good. And I think it'll be an interesting information session and good moving forward for those that are deciding to put their name forward for the election. So that's about it for me. Thank you, Your Worship.
I believe we are next on the library board, Councillor Waterfield.
Yes, Mayor Brown. On January the 30th, I and a number of board members attended a very successful Library After Dark music series. It was sold out in a very enjoyable evening, raising money for the library. On February the 9th, I attended a policy committee meeting. And yesterday, I went to the library to attend our board meeting. Unfortunately, we had a no-show. We didn't have a quorum, therefore we did not have a board meeting. And it's been decided that the agenda items for our hopefully February meeting, which did not happen, will be transferred to our board meeting in March.
Thank you. Conservation Authority.
With regards to the region RVCA, I've had ongoing discussions with our general manager almost on a every other day basis on a variety of things. I will be chairing the AGM for the RVCA this Thursday. And just a reminder to everyone that the RVCA is celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We do have a series of celebratory events lined up. The first one will be this Saturday at the Perth Wildlife Reserve, in which we'll be hosting a guided snowshoe event. I'll be making some opening remarks, and that event has sold out. Throughout the year, we will be having a variety of events in our various conservation areas and at our office, and I will be keeping council informed of those as the year progresses.
Thank you. And yes, sir.
I just want to make a comment to Gary. Can you let the people at the library know that I have a new boss? She's 1.5 years old, but she's going on 5. And I took her to, I guess I call her the children's librarian,
Oh, yeah.
put on a presentation,
Heidi.
and it was fantastic. And my granddaughter now wants to go to the library every day. And it was amazing to me because there was probably 20 little kids in the room, and it was fantastic. It went on for an hour. But at the end of it, she knew my granddaughter's name, who had never been there before. So, and this lady was wonderful, the children's librarian. So I just want to pass it on because I tried to talk to her at the end of the day. I said, this is fantastic, but the upstairs is really, really nice looking down the library. But just the fact of what they do for little kids and how nourishing she was, it was wonderful to be there.
Through the mayor, thank you very much for that feedback, Deputy Mayor. And the individual you're speaking of is Heidi. She's a highly prized staff person at the library, I agree with you. She is absolutely wonderful. She is just fantastic with kids, and it'll be a pleasure for me to pass that on tomorrow morning. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir. So we are going ahead to the Lanark County Traffic Advisory Working Group.
Mayor Brown, this group has not met since the last council meeting, and I just want to remind council, this group meets quarterly. It does not meet on a monthly basis, and our next meeting will be held on March the 11th.
Okay. And Councillor Bolt, motion number 13.13.
Your worship, I believe Councillor McCray has a question first.
Yes.
I just think it's really important that, and I know that Ed was there and I was there, and I don't know if there were any other counselors there, but that's to thank Ashley and Kathy for hosting the senior luncheon on February the 11th,
Yes.
2026. And you were there as well, your worship. The feedback that I got back from that, and I know Ed got as well, was just phenomenal. You would not believe the number of seniors who came up to me, and they were so pleased that our municipality had reached out to a lot of seniors that don't get out to a lot of activities, to the opportunity to come to that event. So I think that grant that we got from the government, and that the idea of a pop-up, and they're going to have 3 more sessions, good stuff. And it made me very proud to be a member of this council, hearing that coming from our senior community. And a lot of those people are isolated, and they felt like they were a part of something.
This was such a great idea. I talked to one lady who was sitting beside me, and she and her husband had just moved to town. Well, they decided they had to get out and meet people, but like, you don't know where to start, sort of thing. So she commended this event as a good way of getting to meet people. And I was thinking ahead to when the development occurs at the golf club, that something similar could be held so that people could get to know the new folks. Councillor Bolt.
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barry Smith. Be it resolved, the council of the town of Perth receive the council committee, local boards, and external reports and minutes as presented.
Thank you. Those in favor? It's unanimous. We have no new business. Questions from the media? I do not see any media. So our next meeting date for, excuse me, for council is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. I will be chairing as usual. So we do have a closed session coming up. And Councillor McCray, could you read the motion?
Thank you, your worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor David Bird, that the council of the town of Perth resolve into a closed session at 6:41 p.m. pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 for the following purposes. Number 1, Collective Bargaining Ontario Public Service Employment Union Local 435, subject to Section 236(2). Labor relations or employee negotiations. A position plan, procedure, criteria, or instructions to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Number 2, potential sale of town-owned lands legally described as part lots 27 and 28, concession 10, geographic township of North Elmsley, subject to Section 2392. C, a proposed and pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communication necessary for that purpose, and a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which is disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group, or persons or organization.
Thank you. Those in favor? Thank you. Meeting in sunshine.
The Town of Perth Rise and Report from closed session at 7:29 PM.
You, those in favor? Okay. And so the rise and report is in closed session, council approved. Closed session, meeting minutes from January 27, 2026. Second, discuss labor negotiations regarding collective bargaining with OPSU Local 435. And staff were directed to proceed as recommended by council. And number 3, discuss negotiations and receive legal advice subject to solicitor-client privilege regarding a potential sale of town-owned lands. Staff and the mayor were directed to proceed as recommended by council. So, yes, okay, going on. Number 19. Confirmation of proceedings by law, Councillor McCray.
Thank you. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor David Byrd. Be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Perth passed bylaw number 5253, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Perth at its meeting held February the 24th, 2026. Be read a first, second, and third time short, passed and signed by the mayor and clerk.
You, those in favor? Carried. And Councillor Smith again.
Be it
Number
resolved
20.
that the Council of the Town of Perth adjourn the February 24th, 2026 council meeting at 7:30 PM.
You, those in favor?
You're